Hey, what's up, Giants fam? Welcome to the one and only Giants Brawl podcast. I'm Mike Trainer. I'm with Jules and John
What
again
up?
this week. Man, Super Bowl week, Super Bowl hangovers. Man, what's good, fellas? How was your weekend, man? Before we even get to the game, I know Jules, you went away. John, I don't know what you were doing. I think you had a little party. What'd you guys do?
Well, like I said, I went down to AC and definitely enjoyed myself. Let me start there, right? And maybe I enjoyed myself a little too well at times, because it's not the smartest thing to do to be out drinking all friggin' day and then go hit one of the tables and start throwing around money like you got it like that. So that
Yeah,
wasn't the smartest idea. Then I went to go pet a dog and it looked like a little puppy to me. I don't know. It was a cute little looking thing. Meanwhile, it was like this vicious looking fucking pit bull that gave me like a little love bite on my finger. Not too bad though.
Oh shit! Look at that.
get the fuck out.
It was fun, man. It was a good time.
Yeah, whoever, if you listen to the podcast, man, take a look into the YouTube edition of our podcast. If you want to check out Jules' finger. Jesus
Hey,
Christ.
dude, right? A little scared, like I said,
this weekend.
like I said, if this was fucking like the dog was just giving me like a little warning. It was like, yo, I don't want to be pet, motherfucker. I was like, all right, my bad. I'll leave you alone.
Didn't the owner be like, hey, don't fucking try to pet my dog?
Listen, that owner ran down the boardwalk too. He was like, his friends were saying it, but like I missed that part. They were just like, yo, we don't even pet that dog and all this other bullshit.
Oh, wow.
It's like, I'm like, dude, like you know when you get that in your head, someone tells you not to do something. It's almost like you want, like you get that stupid dare in you where you're like, wait, it's a fucking dog. I'm not gonna do anything. And that thing was like, Rawr! I was like, oh, motherfucker.
When it comes to animals, I'm not fucking with an animal, especially a strange like dog. Was it a pit bull?
Yeah, it was people, but you know what it was too? It was like some hipster fucking dude from on the boardwalk with like a beard and shit. I'm like, this dude, come on, he don't got some crazy ass pit bull dog. You don't fit the profile. And sure enough, he does. And I got mad at him because I'm like, bro, I was like, yo, if you know your dog is like that, and you even see somebody going, you got to pull the fucking dog away. Like, what are you doing, fucking moron?
Don't trust anybody walking down the Atlantic City boardwalk with a fucking dog.
At like 1 a.m. too. It's not even like that shit was like during the day or anything.
Holy shit, man! You look like you should get a bandage, one of those bandages that's the weekend people wore during this fucking thing.
That shit was ridiculous too.
That was weird. John, what'd you do, man? How was your party, man?
It was all right. I just as a couple people. My boy came over with his wife, my brother and his wife. One of my other friends came over. My girl cooked. Nice relaxing day. Of course, we had a little more snow over the weekends, so a little extra round of shoveling, and I hurt my back, but it is what it is. It's part of getting old.
Yeah,
So if you're under 30,
I was shoveling in the morning, but I've rewarded myself with fucking drinks like afterwards. That's for sure. But before even the game started this Saturday, I actually played basketball for the first time since the pandemic started, like over a year.
Oh shit!
Yeah, it's been a long time. For the listeners, like I love talking football, but I love like playing like a sport is like basketball is my sport, man. I love playing basketball, and I had to play at like a friend of a friend's house. He had a full court in his fucking house, someplace like some fucking big giant like house in.
Does he know Nate?
Dude, it was great. Yeah, it was great to like get people to play because all the gyms they're not letting people play because of the whole COVID thing. Like I'm like I've never caught a cold from playing basketball, against other guys. Like why are people panicking over this shit? Like remember when Magic Johnson came out and he had HIV and everybody was scared to play him? Like, you know what I mean? Like you're not gonna catch anything playing basketball. You're not gonna catch HIV from playing basketball with Magic Johnson. You know what you catch HIV from him is like if you bang him in the ass, or even worse if he bangs you in the ass. You know what I'm saying? That's
he's like 7 feet too, imagine.
That's how I feel about COVID. Like you know what I mean? Don't fucking mess with a dirty hooker. You ain't gonna get COVID. So everybody fucking relax. But after that, my weekend turned great. Like I bet the game. I took Tampa +3. I was drinking it. It was a fucking fun time, man.
Yeah,
I'm so happy that Tom Brady won, bro.
Me too.
I was like genuinely happy, man. I know Jules is a little bit upset here. I see him grunting over there, sighing, really. But dude, just every time fucking he does something, man, it makes what Eli did, beating him twice it's just awesome. It's like Hollywood, bro. It's like a movie worthy type of thing. Like they can legit write a movie about Eli Manning's life, being born into a football family, 2 older brothers. One of them goes pro and goes on to be one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. You're growing up in his shadow. Then you go to New York with this like audacious trade, go in, get ridiculed by everybody for years, and all of a sudden go beat a 18-0 team, then beat him again a few years later. He's got as a football life, he's got one of the best ones ever, and it's partially due to what Tom Brady's greatness is, and him going out there beating Patrick Mahomes, this generation's new thing. It was just fun. It was just fun to watch, like that kind of greatness just on display.
Eli's going to the Hall of Fame, man. Just like because he's seen his brother get in the Hall of Fame this weekend at the NFL Honors. Eli's next. You know what I'm saying? That's Eli's claim to fame, man. Beating Tommy B, the GOAT, twice.
Well, listen, I don't know if you guys saw, they were showing that Peyton Manning and Eli Manning both combined. Obviously Peyton was in the AFC Championship games, but they both combined to have a 5-1 record against the GOAT. You know what I mean? So like all the talk about the GOAT and all this other shit, my man Eli did beat him twice in the biggest game, and he's the only one to do it, and probably will be the only person ever. So I guess, hats off to that. I can't be mad at it. No, I was just more mad because I got caught up in the whole Atlantic City thing, which, by the way, they did a really nice job. They, even on the table games, everything was like sort of sectioned off in like a little plexiglass booth, and you had to wear your mask the whole time. So like you didn't have to really worry too much about that whole like COVID exposure thing. But then I got caught up in the sports book where it was just like too easy to bet. And literally, like it's like, oh, we got an app and you can bet on this, you can bet on that. Like I didn't even have to fucking do anything. I didn't call nobody. I was just like, I hit buttons and shit. And all of a sudden I bet like money. And it was like, all right, this is awesome. And then they even insured up to 100% on your first bet. So I went in hard on the first half, right? Because I figured, fuck it. If I lose, that shit's just going to be insured. I get another credit for what I lost. But of course, I take the under, and I had it at 27. And because of that bullshit pass interference right before the half, the bullshit offsides before the fucking field goal, fucking thing cost me. That's where the night just went like fucking south from there.
No, you should be blaming Andy Reid for calling those fucking timeouts. What was he doing?
Asshole.
What are you doing calling those timeouts? I'm yelling at the TV. I'm like, why would you do this? This doesn't make any sense. You're going to give the GOAT like more chances to go down the field? Of course he's going to get an easy 3rd and 4.
Right. Right. You know what I mean? Bro, about the only thing I got right about the Super Bowl was what my prediction was 2 weeks before with the championship games. I said, this Super Bowl is going to suck. It's going to be boring. And I was dead on. Too bad I can't bet on that shit.
It did suck. It did suck watching it. It was definitely boring, man.
That shit sucked, dude. It was making me drink harder. I was like, all right, I need another shot of Jameson, please. This shit is whack, dude. Like, all right, hurry up. Like, even the halftime with the halftime show, like that shit wasn't even that good, man. I expected more out of the weekend. Excuse me, the weekend.
Yeah,
I said halftime, but I expected way more out of the weekend with that halftime show, and even that was like a dud, man. Like there was nothing that like came across exciting except for, of course, and obviously we'll recap some of the actual game, but the guy that had the best bet of the entire the entire Super Bowl is the streaker, bro. If that shit is true, the story is still unconfirmed. But my man supposedly put down $50,000 at a 7.5 to 1 bet that there would be a streak in the Super Bowl game, and he's the one that fucking goes and does the streaking. He's either a genius or a moron. I don't know which one.
I thought about that idea. I think I'm a moron because I thought about that idea years ago. Like, because that was a bet on on the site. I'm like, so next year, like Vegas will not be allowed to even put that bet up there because they're gonna see you're gonna have to bet the over on how many streakers are gonna happen next year at the Super Bowl. There's gonna be like fucking 25 of them gonna fucking run on the stands all different times.
Yeah, that shit is brilliant, bro.
I mean, the one thing I was reading was like they said that a sports book wouldn't take a prop bet of that large amount, but that doesn't mean he didn't do it in increments. You know what I mean? Like, 5,000. You only got to go up 10 times to the fucking counter and put a $5,000 bet down on a prop. So
he could have had his friends betting too. He could have had multiple parents, his mom, his dad, his brother, whatever. And it's still going all in the same pocket, bro. But if it is, and he was able to net $374,000 and be the dude who listen, I mean, 15 minutes of fame, whatever, it is what it is. He had that Borat fucking sling it thong thing on, and he was running around. That shit is hilarious, bro. And that is brilliant. And it's one of those things that happens in life, and you're like, how the fuck did it take all the way to now for that to ever happen? Right. You could always probably bet on that shit, and no one's ever thought of it to do it. You got to give props to that dude, and I really hope that it was him that won that 374 That would be
they
fucking
should
wild.
have him on like what is it like Good Morning America? You gotta have like all that kind of like that like good stuff. Like, oh, have this retard on there. It'd be fucking great, bro.
Yeah,
Except I would have done that shit right, dude. I would have been running through with like nothing on. I don't give a shit. Like if you're gonna do it, you gotta do it completely right. And then imagine just getting tackled while you're completely naked. Like, yo, those cops wouldn't have jumped on you like they jumped on him.
Bro, if you hear the story, they were pretty G status about it, bro. Him and his boy both went. He had his boy go out first, act as a detour, like a distraction. Then he ran out after, and he ran. That's why he was able to run all the way down the field and actually like undress to be counted as a streaker. So it was thought out, bro. That's fucking great.
It was a
that is fucking
50,000. I'll do that shit, no problem.
I would have painted my whole body blue, you know. I mean, I'm like, yo, I would have repped the Giants Brawl podcast on there, right on my ass cheeks. You know what I'm saying? Shit.
Yo, seriously. I mean, like honestly, that's how boring this fucking game was.
I know that was the exciting point of the fucking game, man.
Seriously.
Except for like trying to root for your numbers, and I hit a box like whatever. I bet the game, so I'm up like $2,000 from that game.
All right.
But man, I knew Tampa getting 3 points, man. That was a lock of the year, man.
Like I said, I should have saw the writing on the wall. I mean, with the whole like Kansas City moving around their offensive line adjustments, and then Andy Reid was somewhat of a suspect type of a coach in the big games, right? He never won until last year, and even last year's was close. They got a couple of questionable calls down the stretch, and the 49ers had him on the ropes, and they just couldn't finish them off. So and here he comes in, and then he has the whole thing that happened with his son. And that poor kid that's like suffering in the hospital right now. Prayers are out to them, of course. But with that said, man, like there was a lot of like just extra nonsense that was going into this game. They were talking about the toe injury that you never heard of, and all of a sudden now Mahomes had this fucking toe injury. Like it was just too much going on, man. There was too many different things and aspects that were going on. All the warning signs were there that it didn't make sense to bet KC. It just didn't. And I didn't go big on them. I screwed up in the second half. I took like one of those live bets. And I thought that perhaps like the KC would make the game a little bit more close, a little bit more of a competition. So I bet that, because I was like, all right, fuck it. I didn't get the first half bet because of the refs and Tom Brady and fucking Andy Reid. But I was like, screw it. I was like, yo, Kansas City will make a game out of it, right? They don't necessarily have to win. Yeah, sucker bet right there.
I mean, dude, you're right. But the whole shuffle in the offensive line with Mike Remmers, I mean, we had Mike Remmers. He was our right tackle for like a year, man. He sucked. So he had to play left tackle going against, Barry. Like, dude, you can't win like that. Like nobody can win like that. Even as great as quarterback Mahomes is. Like that's why I tweeted at Giants Brawl. I'm like, it just goes to show you if you have no offensive line, you will not succeed in the NFL. So give Daniel Jones a break, Giant fans. Look at Mahomes tonight. Can't win against good defenses in the NFL without help. It's just facts. That's all it is, man.
It's not. There's a reason why cliches become cliches, and one of the biggest in football is that it is the ultimate team game. And you know what? You could look at Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson, Drew Brees, Phillip Rivers, whatever you want. You could look at all these all-time great Dan Marino, all-time great quarterbacks that couldn't get all the way to the promised land. At least more than once. Just one season getting there or whatever the case is. It's the ultimate team game. There's too many variables. There's too many different players. There's too many different things that have to go right in order for you to get all the way through to actually win a championship. And to just to play effective football, Dave Gettleman came in here and he preached. He wants to get build through the trenches. We as Giants fans, like I said last week, should know that that's a formula for success. And then against this God that you guys, and not you guys specifically, but all these people out there anointed Patrick Mahomes as the baby goat and all this bullshit. Not even your son of Odin was able to come and actually play even mediocre football without having an offensive line. So get the fuck off. Daniel Jones is back.
You mentioned, Aaron Rodgers. Like Green Bay didn't give him any help. They drafted his next successor quarterback, Love, that can't even fucking ball. And now, if Rodgers had any little bit of help going against Tampa Bay, he would have won that game. Facts, right? I mean, they had, they would have had a better team if they had like another, playmaker or two. But, they're not signing anybody. They're not drafting the right way. And Rodgers pretty much carried that team, man, and that defense. But
Well, there was
Yep.
a couple of things, and here's one more cliche for you, right? Like they say that this is the game that's won in the trenches, right? Meaning that it's that offensive line versus that defensive line that ends up controlling how this game plays out, and who wins, who loses, right? And that's usually what the case ends up being. But with that said, there was a couple of things too where there was some questioning. Like I don't understand why they got away from the running game. I mean, that kid Clyde was hilarious, was tearing it up. I mean, he was averaging 7 yards a carry. He ran for like 69 yards. I mean, it was ridiculous. And then Bieniemy and Reed completely abandoned the run game. I don't get it. It was like, yo, you guys had something going there. Maybe that would have freed up a little bit more time for him. I mean, you can't listen. I don't care who you are. I don't care how good you are. If you're getting pressure with a 4-man rush, that team is usually going to end up winning. All right. Because if a defense can create pressure from 4 guys, especially when you have 5 lined up on the offensive line, you got problems. That's problems all day. Now, why didn't bring in an extra tight end blocker to kind of offset Kelsey? I mean, why didn't they have like the running back staying back and blocking more? I don't know. I can't figure out. I don't know why there wasn't more help on the edges with these guys. I mean, I was gonna say, and look, you take a look at, the fact that they shouldn't have given up that touchdown at the end of the half. Kelsey drops a touchdown pass. I mean, there was a lot of just weird shit going on in that game.
I think Andy Reid, how do you say? He's had a reputation for his entire 20 whatever years he's been a head coach in this league, or close to 20 years. He's been a head coach in this league where he would make buffoonish moves in a game, not adjust, whatever the case was, and he would lose the big games. He went to what I think was a Super Bowl with Philly. He had great success in Philly, just couldn't win the big game, obviously.
Against
and then and then against Tom Brady, and then same thing now with the Chiefs. They've won 2 out of 3 years with Mahomes. I mean, 1 out of 3 years with Mahomes, and you can see that Andy Reid made no adjustments, and you can see that he didn't. Andy Reid became Andy Reid again, and maybe last year, maybe that was a fluke, bro.
It could be. Maybe everybody like all the hype on Eric Bieniemy being a head coach. Maybe there's a reason why he's not getting a head coaching job.
Yeah. I mean, listen, anytime you got a head coach that's, considered like an offensive, I don't want to call it guru, genius, whatever the heck word you want to put down on Andy Reid, it does take away from the offensive coordinator's game, right? Because it's like how much of it is actually him and how much of it is the head coach, right? So you always kind of debate that. So it does take away. And then when you see a display like we saw this past Sunday, there's no excuse for that, man. That was just sad, dude. That was just a sad way to play that football game. I mean, granted, look, I don't want to take nothing away from Tampa's defense. Tampa's defense was playing their asses off. All right. That kid, Devon White, is a star in the making. All right. I know Winfield was getting a little bit of credit, but Devon White is a beast. I mean, that front line is insane. I mean, with JPP, Shaq Barrett, Sue, I mean, dude, they were pretty loaded on D, and it showed. It definitely showed, and obviously that wasn't the same Kansas City team that played Buffalo. So, I just couldn't get over the fact that it was just such a one-sided game the entire game.
I know Tom Brady's a goal, but he's loaded on offense too, man. It just goes to like Jameis Winston, man. He couldn't win with his fucking team. He really had to
this wasn't the same team, Mike. Come on, because I gotta tell you that, man.
I mean, like Winston could have he had most of his team last year. He couldn't win with his fucking team, All
right, first of all, he didn't have Tristan Wirfs at the right tackle. Where that guy, like I said the Giants should have taken him when we had the chance. I'm going to stick with Andrew Thomas, and if the reports are true, and this man was playing with that fucked up ankle the entire season, then hats off to him, and he should come back and be a beast in 2021. But even with that said, he had an addition to the offensive line. They signed Leonard Fournette. Ronald Jones took the next step. They went out and got Antonio Brown. They went out and signed fucking Gronk. I mean, dude, give me a fucking break. Maybe Winston doesn't win the Super Bowl, but I'm sure he doesn't throw 30 interceptions again either.
No, he probably throws like 28. But it looked like we were watching the game. It like a tale of two tapes. Like Mahomes getting like rushed like every fucking play, and then Tom Brady just back there looking around, and it seemed like he had all day, man. It's kind of frustrating in a way to watch it. You know what I mean? It's like make the game more fair, but it is what it is. Like Wirfs, I don't know if he's like, I know he's okay. I don't know if maybe because Tom Brady gets the ball out so quick, he knows where he's going. Maybe it just makes him a lot better to be a right tackle because you have Tom Brady at quarterback. right? Because
I
you look at him and Daniel Jones, and Daniel Jones with Andrew Thomas. Daniel's trying to hold the ball and make a play, waiting for these guys to get open. Eventually, it's going to break down a little bit. So I don't know if I could compare those two guys yet. You know,
not only that, but think about the mental aspect of playing the position in the league. When you have Tom Brady reading the defense and calling out your, doing what you have to do as far as like protections and all that stuff, and reading the defense pre-snap and being able to communicate, that they don't have that yet, and we don't have that over here in New York yet. We have all young players all over the place in those positions, at tackle, at center, at quarterback. We don't have a Tom Brady experience-wise. So you got to think, if Tristan Wirfs can go out there, play an easier position one, not have to think, and just can go out and play, it's going to be easier for him. That's why you saw what you saw. I have utmost faith in Andrew Thomas. He's going to come out. He's going to be a good, solid player.
I will say one thing. I will say one thing, Jules, about Andrew Thomas.
Yeah,
he's the guy that won the defensive rookie of the year. I think it's Andrew Thomas's bitch.
Yeah.
Right? Didn't Chase Young won the award, right? That's Andrew Thomas.
Yeah, that's right.
My man pancaked his ass, man. So Andrew Thomas, man, I'm on board with Andrew Thomas, man. He's our left tackle for the next 15.
What about this? When we played the Bucks, how well did Andrew Thomas play that game? Played excellent. Shut down JPP. Shut him down.
2 points. We only lost by 2 points because the ref.
We lost by 2 points, but what people forget is we lost on a 2-point conversion. Daniel Jones brought us down the field at the end of the game to tie the game up, and we didn't get the call in the end zone.
We should have definitely got a defensive holding call for sure, for absolute. At least maybe not pass interference or nothing like that, but it should have been, automatic first down, do over or something, whatever the heck it is. Even though it's 2-point conversion, you do it over, but still half the distance to the goal, that kind of shit, man. Come on, that was
just a redo. Whatever it is, even if it doesn't matter anymore if they won or they didn't win the game, it doesn't really matter. The point of the matter is people are trying to say that Daniel Jones is not the quarterback. We should look at Deshaun Watson. We should do this. We should do that. Draft a quarterback at 11. All these different things, and it's like, what more do you want out of this kid? He went fucking down to Tampa and brought us back with fucking nobody, right? Because Shepard wasn't playing then, or I think maybe that was Shepard's first game back, and Saquon wasn't there. And he was able to actually play that game well enough to bring us within a 2-point conversion of tying that game up and going to overtime. And who knows what happens in overtime? What if we fucking steal that game? Was it a Monday night game, Thursday night game, whatever the fuck it was?
Monday.
How much different is our season then? Even if Ingram makes the drop in the Philly game, how different is our season?
Now, you know what it is with Jones is you just want to see more consistency, right? The guy's got to be a little more consistent with his throws, with his play selections, with his reads. And he's got to take that next step this coming season. That's it. That's what you want to see with Daniel Jones. If he can't do those things, then guys, I'm sorry, we will have to look other ways for a quarterback. I don't give a shit how good he looks at times. If he's not reading his progressions, and maybe some of that's a talent, and maybe it's because the guys like Golden Tate weren't getting open as well, and certain guys were hurt, and all those different things that are factoring in. But if the line is getting better, we get a healthy Saquon back, we do something in free agency, the draft, and he can't get through his reads, or he can't progress a little bit better than he did from a year to year, then that's when we have to really start saying that, look, this guy ain't the one.
But it's so premature that we are even saying any of these words. It's so premature. What this kid did in his rookie year, now, I mean, listen, it's PFF, so who really cares? But I mean, if you want to bring it up, if we're done with the Super Bowl, you had that PFF article that came out about Daniel Jones being the most improved player. I don't know if you guys want to get into that now, or you want to continue the Super Bowl.
Go ahead, man. Yeah, listen, I didn't really hear much about that article, so I'm definitely want to listen.
So what they said was on the Giants roster, I guess they went team by team, figuring out from last year to this year who has been the most improved player on the team. And PFF said that Daniel Jones was that player. And you get the kindergartner, as we call him on the Giants Brawl, the goldfish, who you're looking at, oh my God, you look at his ESPN stat page and the first line says touchdowns 11. He's trash. Looking through a fantasy football lens without really fleshing out exactly what happened. How many times did he lead the team down the field where all he needed was a 1 or 2 yard run for a touchdown? That still is part of being a quarterback. It's not just connecting for touchdown passes. There's a lot more to playing fucking football. And all these other categories, whatever his those analytics they use, those advanced analytics for his accuracy, he was whatever Company was said he was the most accurate deep ball passer in the league. You could see his running was more part of his game this year. The only thing that regressed was his touchdowns. That's it. But again, we couldn't run the ball.
I mean,
not really though, because you got to understand the Giants play a type of football where they have less drives per game. The idea is to kill the clock. They're not going to have 11, 12 drives a game. They're going to have 8 or 9 drives per game. So naturally, if you're going to have 25% less drives, you're going to average 25% less points per game. So you don't need as many points from that end. What they want to do is be able to move the ball down the field efficiently, effectively, and you don't want to throw the ball in the red zone. You don't want to throw the ball at the goal line. It's hard. All the windows are way quicker, way shorter, way smaller. You want to be able to pound the rock in, and that's exactly what they did. So you can't now take that as a detriment to Daniel Jones that, oh, he didn't have the same touchdown, but they were able to score virtually the same kind of points, like to a degree when he was playing healthily. You got to take that into consideration. That's a big part of it. So I get 11 versus 26 or whatever it is. It looks worse than what it actually is. You could even make a case that last year's numbers were a little bit inflated and this year's numbers were a little bit deflated off of what his actual play was.
See, but yeah, I don't want to hear that either, though, because if you're telling me that last year's were a little inflated and this is a little deflated and he'll be somewhere in between, I don't want a quarterback that's going to throw 20 touchdowns a year. That's not going to win in this NFL anymore. Like this guy's got to get up to that 30 mark. That's where the elite quarterbacks are. Even if it's a combination of, maybe 25 in the air and then another 5 or 6 on the ground. That's what you're getting out of these type of players this year. That's the NFL that we play in the current state.
But what year? I mean, we're talking about a second-year player.
True.
We're talking about a second-year player. When you talk about Baker Mayfield, you talk about Josh Allen, you talk about these other young quarterbacks, Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes, all these guys. They're third and fourth and fifth-year players. They're more seasoned. You're not talking about a young calf in the league. You're talking about seasoned veterans at that point. And now this is what's going to be his year. We also have to consider not having Saquon was tremendous. I know I mentioned it before. I'm going to mention it again. The numbers that he has when Saquon's on the field, not because he can throw the ball to Saquon, not because Saquon can run the ball better, but the attention that it commands from the defenders, that split second in every one of those 11 guys on the other side of the line of the ball. Those guys split second. Does Saquon get in the ball? Are they tossing him the ball? Is it a pass play? Is it just what quick second to read the keys? That's what opens up windows all over the field for you to go out there. And it was like 23 touchdowns to like 5 interceptions versus 11 to 12 or something like that. Some ridiculous numbers when he's on and off the field. We didn't have him at all. Saquon gets hurt in week 7 this year. We would have a completely different conversation about it. I don't know. I'm sorry I get so passionate about it. I hate this Daniel Jones slander. You know what I mean? I just hate it.
I'm not slandering him, but like I said before, he's gotta take the next step this season. There's no more, especially if the Giants are gonna go out and get, some help for him, whether it be through free agency, the draft, or both. He's got to. Then the pressure's going to come. Now you're going to have a healthy Saquon. Now you're going to have you're going to probably have the best offensive line unit that you played with so far in your young career. Now we got you a weapon as far as on the outside with a wide receiver, or, they end up getting pitched through the draft or some sort of combination of that. Now it's all on you, buddy. Like, you need to step up, right? You're the one still wearing that C on your jersey. He's going to have to take that step. And that's what we want. That's what we're going to want to see. Do I think he can? Do I think there's potential? Does he have a lot of talent? Absolutely. I mean, shit, if we could, I'd love to see him race Lamar in a race because apparently he's faster. I don't know how that's possible, but apparently he could beat Lamar Jackson in a race. All right. I'd love to see that. That shit would be some great old season shit.
That's losing Barkley hurt us, like John said. Like losing Barkley, like he pressed. Danny Jones pressed, and when you don't have weapons, like you said, Jules, it makes a difference, man. You're not going to see that growth. That's why they need to focus this year coming up for his 3rd year to see if we could get those weapons in there, get a healthy Barkley back, see what he's made of. If he's going to continue to fumble and make these dumb decisions, then maybe it's time to go and move on.
Or not stay healthy. Like I said,
because it's 2 years in a row. You're right.
right? So like that's going to be on Barkley in that perspective, because I know we can get on with things like that, and that's sort of where all that stupid trade rumors were going through. What we discussed the other day with Watson, all that bullshit. We don't need to go through that again. But even with that said, yeah, there's going to be pressure on these guys. Even a Will Hernandez, right? Where what, like, did we just write him off? Is his career done too? I mean, he's still a young guy, right? Like he's still part of that offensive line. I mean, there's guys in place. That's all I'm saying. It's not like there aren't pieces there, and like I've been saying, and I'll keep saying, and I'm gonna like keep saying it till the day it comes. I think at 11, believe it or not, I think we're at a really good spot with that 11th pick. I mean, there's some offensive linemen that could fall to us at that 11th pick. That can even just continue on. I'll be honest with you, I was never such a huge fan of taking an O lineman unless you absolutely needed it. Kind of like what we did with Andrew Thomas, where it was a necessity that had to be done. But I'll tell you the truth, man. Look, if let's just say in some doomsday scenario, the top receivers are off the board, Pitts is gone, all these guys are gone, Mika Parsons, all this shit, and we're sitting there, we got one of the top like offensive linemen. I could live with that pick, to be honest with you. And then in that second round and maybe free agency, we bring in some of these offensive weapons to help him.
I would like to see that.
I don't think that's a bad idea. I'm looking forward to that. But you're right, and I don't think there's any reason that we should be saying, oh, he's got to step up. It should just be the expectation. He's a young player, and young players get better. We're watching sports for 30 years. Like young players get better, right? He's a high drafted, high thought of prospect in the NFL. Maybe the media clowns him to begin with outside of the football world, but in the NFL, I don't think that people are as clowning on Daniel Jones as the fans are. I'll tell you that. Based off of what you hear people talk about him, I don't think that's the case. I think they got some respect for him. And if people have respect for him, there's no reason not to, for us to sit there and root for and expect him to be a solid quarterback in this league this coming year, 2021.
You said it. The players in the locker room do. They believe in Daniel Jones, man. They're tight with him, man.
I mean, listen, they did give him that, the captain's patch this season. So, I mean, there's definitely something there, right? That's going on in the locker room, where whether or not he's like that kind of quiet leader that Eli was, or whether or not, it's just things that we don't see behind the scenes. Who the hell knows, right? But you're right. There's something there. And again, look, I'm not saying that the guy's going to fail or anything like that. That's not what we're talking about here. But if he does get the right things in place, bro, you got to show up a little bit. You got to look better than you did in 2020. All right. That's just the bottom line there. But speaking of O-line, right, and how, I think we're kind of stressing and kind of making that a part of this main podcast tonight, is just stressing like how important that is. Well, the Giants went out and signed Rob Sale to be the offensive line coach moving forward for the 2021 season. Now, he's a guy that's worked in a few different colleges. He doesn't have any pro experience, which is okay, but he's had a lot of success on the collegiate level. But one of the main reasons why he was brought in, because there's the talk around, is that he's a developer, that he's taken some of these guys, whether or not he was at Louisiana Lafayette, Arizona State, he even was at Georgia for a little bit, and he was at Alabama, and that's where he worked with Joe Judge. But more importantly, when he was with Louisiana Lafayette, he developed some guys that didn't look like they were any kind of NFL prospects into second and third round picks, or fourth round pick rather, and guys like Robert Hunt and Kevin Dotson, right? So there's that kind of potential there. But he also was the running backs coach and offensive coordinator for Louisiana Lafayette, where they were like a main passing attack type team. And this kind of leads me into where I'm seeing where this could go as potential, being a Joe Judge guy. Cause like he, if you notice, the majority of the staff is all guys that worked with Joe Judge, whether it be on the NFL level or on a collegiate level. That's what he's bringing in here. So he's trying like to develop even his coaching staff to fit that sort of family, if you would, or that what they have going on there. Listen, this guy, and maybe I'm reaching a little bit, but they're saying that he could help open up the offense. And since, I don't know if you guys saw on social media and everything else, everybody was like going crazy last week that we're still keeping Jason Garrett. And I'm like, yeah, he didn't sign anywhere. We weren't going to fire him in February. So I don't know where all that nonsense was coming from. But what I could see and what I might make as a prediction is if this guy, Rob Sale, really does bring this line together and he develops all this offensive young talent that we have there, that could be Garrett's replacement in the future. What are your thoughts?
I like the way you're going with that. I could see that happening down the road because you want that like unity. You don't want to change systems that much. you want to influence the system a little bit, but you don't want the readology. You don't want the sayings to be completely different. Where Daniel Jones has to learn another system in his third straight season. You don't want that to happen. So, I like the way Judge is doing. He's bringing in his guys. He's making these guys. He's getting them, names like Joe Judge. Like nobody knew his name before he came here. All of a sudden, he got a name now. So he's bringing in these guys to get their names going. Patrick Graham. Like, listen, Patrick Graham. We all knew him from Miami, but a lot of Giants fans didn't even know he was our defensive linebackers coach. In the what's his name era in 2016, McAdoo era. You know what I mean?
McAdoo.
So he at least he did. McAdoo did two things right. He brought him in there to be the defensive line coach, and he wanted Patrick Mahomes to be quarterback. He wanted the Giants desperately trade up, but whatever. I talked about that already. But I like the way Judge is doing, man. Maybe that's the right move. I want to see a big improvement with this offensive line next year, man. I want to see what we could do.
He's preached a couple different things. He wanting teachers, wanting, like you said, like educators, like that's what he wants to be able to, especially with a young team, have guys in the building that aren't just speaking and okay, this is what you do. They want to be able to get in there and actually teach these guys every single aspect of it, so they can go out there and they can be natural about playing football, not just having to think about, oh, what's the next step? Do I do right foot here, left foot there, hand here? They want them just to go out there and play football. So that only way that happens is through teaching them and repetitiveness and practice and teaching and teaching. So that's the type of guys that are in there. Also, what he said, like you said, Mike, is that he wants to get guys, he wants to promote from within. He wants it to all
see that. Yeah, you can see he's trying to grow that sort of thing where like these guys could step up and like they could be the next guy to fill in if Pat Graham even leaves, right? Maybe it's one of the guys on defense that steps up and he's the DC, You like he's trying to build something that's going to last for a long period of time, not something that's just going to be what Tampa did and just try to win a Super Bowl this year.
Right. You want sustained success. Yeah. You want them to grow, and especially, bro. I mean, we really don't. We should talk about it more. How young, all over the place we are. Not only on the roster, but in the coaching staff. How many coaches do we have? Joe Judge is 30 years old. We have a ton of different position coaches that are all out of the college ranks that are there. They're in their 30s and 40s. They're all young. This whole entire organization can grow together, have a true new age Giants way, and you promote from within. You have your coaches come from within. Your assistants become your coordinators, and your coordinators become whatever. You just that's what you want. Go out and be coaches elsewhere. You want to build that kind of establishment here, a tree in here. You don't want to just uproot it every couple of years because the flashy guy left.
That's why Patrick Graham wanted to stay. He wanted to be here. This is his dream job. Like, he's assistant head coach. He don't want to go anywhere. He understands what we have here. He wants to build something, and we're in the right direction. So, like, I like the way our team is going, especially a young team where in football you really don't have these dynasties that last like 10 years anymore. It's always like 1 year you're going to Super Bowl champ, the next year you're not. There's always different teams in the playoffs. I want to see the Giants have that consistency like New England did for years. Yeah. And I think that's what kind of Judge is like gearing us towards, to have that, all right, maybe we start off slow, 6-10, whatever, maybe we start getting those like 9, 10, 11 wins consistently. I mean, how great would that be after suffering for, all these years of being like mediocre,
Well, I mean, think about it too, right? We're talking about how he's bringing in all guys that have worked with him, whether it be collegiate, professional, whichever, right? Let's not forget, he wasn't like, rumors started circulating that he didn't really want Colombo as the offensive line coach, right? Like, and then when he was trying to like critique him and help him a little bit, they got into that whole thing and everything kind of busted up. And I always mispronounce his name. I don't know why. Guglielmo, Guglielmo, right? And that guy is noted too for saying that like, coaching rookie linemen isn't his cup of tea. So you got fucking Andrew Thomas, you got LeBeau, you got freaking Nick, and that's not your cup of tea. Yeah, right. Dude, we gotta fucking move on from you, all right? You know what I mean? Like that's why they brought in this guy Rob Saley's. Let's see. I'm gonna call him the old lineman whisperer. All right.
I like that name.
That's it. That's gonna be his new name for right now. The old lineman whisperer. Like, hopefully, look, and who knows? Maybe that's a hint. Like maybe in that first or second round, depending how this draft falls. Maybe the Giants do take another lineman. I mean, there's nothing saying that they won't draft another lineman at some point, especially in the early part of the draft in the first, rounds 1 through 3. You know what I mean? We could still use help all over the ball. I mean, I don't think we're doing anything as far as center's concerned, but guard, right tackle. I mean, maybe, I know we have Perk, but does he really take that next step? We don't know, and that's what remains to be seen.
So we got his name is Rob Sale, right? And the Jets head coach is what's his name?
It's pretty damn
Rob
close.
Oh, what do we got? The guy with less letters in his name? Is that what happens in New York?
Pretty weird.
That's a little weird.
Very weird.
Definitely. I mean, because when I first saw it, I was I thought I read it wrong, and I was like, wait a minute, wait, no, they must be talking about the Jets real quick, but no. His is Robert Saleh, right?
We got the better Rob.
He goes as Robert, we goes Rob, and then he added an H to the end of his last name, basically.
I don't give a shit. We got the better version of that guy.
I mean, even though I think he's a little bit more of a defensive guy, but let's not get too tactical over that kind of shit, right? I mean,
if he's the next GOAT, you know what I mean? Like him, make Daniel Jones the next GOAT, like Tom Brady is. I want to see Daniel Jones get 8 rings. Imagine that.
Imagine. He's off to a little bit of a slow start, but that's all right. We'll get him there. We'll get him there eventually.
I do got a special guest, man, live on the show right now. If you guys want to hear him.
All right, let's do it.
I interviewed the GOAT, Tom Brady.
Oh God, here we go.
All right, guys. Tom, you live, Tom? Tom, how does it feel being the GOAT, 7-time Super Bowl champion? Tell me, Tom. Right. I know. Thank you, Tom. Now, Tom, did Jules get really bit by a dog, or was it one of your family members? Yep, it was one of your family members. That's it. All right, thanks, Tom. That's all the time we got. We got to go back to the show.
I'm not sure we heard Tom that well, but must have been on a long distance connection.
Yeah, I didn't hear anything at all.
He's the GOAT, baby.
I got where Mike was going with this one, though. I mean, look, listen, 7 rings. Do I think he deserved the Super Bowl MVP? No. I mean, yes, he had 3 touchdowns, but basically the one before the half was a gift to him. He threw for 201 yards. Fine, he didn't throw an interception. Give him that credit there, right? But it's man, when you can hold a high-powered offense as Kansas City was coming into this game to 9 points, I mean, seriously, dude, how does the defense not get any fucking credit for that at all? They shut him down to 3 points in the second half, dude. I mean, give me a break with this shit, all right? Yes, look, and I'm also going to say this other thing about Tom Brady, right? Look, how can you say I can't sit there and be like he's the greatest of all time, because I think there was better pure passers, right? I think there was definitely better runners. There's definitely better scramblers, right? Is he the best winning team managing type quarterback that we've ever seen? Absolutely. Will we see something like this again? I don't know. Maybe not in our lifetime, right? But it's possible, but I don't see that either, right? So yes, but when they start saying, is he the greatest athlete? No, Bill Russell won more championships than he did, right? Tiger Woods, and then we'll start comparing. That shit gets me fucking crazy. And it's all that kind of media nonsense that really kind of pisses me off about Tom Brady. Because other than that, I wouldn't really give a shit. I mean, technically the Giants, we beat them twice. So fuck it, what do I care? And that shit's still gonna stay with him, right? He ain't gonna get Eli back on that field.
Well, look what he did, Jules. He beat Peyton Manning, probably the best quarterback to ever play the game.
Once. Yeah, but Peyton Manning still got 5 MVPs to his 3, man. So who was really better? You know what I'm saying? He got 5 MVPs. Brady got 3.
He beat Big Ben, he beat Mahomes twice. It's I mean, I can't knock the guy, man. The guy's he's just a winner. You know what I mean? To have those kind of rings, you know what I mean? I mean, now you look at kind of the Belichick New England. You always thought it was the Belichick, the system, and New England's, players or whatever. But I mean, you needed a guy to run the system, to make the plays, to make the throws, to make the decisions. The mental part of the game is, pretty much 80% of it. You know what I mean? If you really think about it. And I mean, I can't doubt the guy, man.
I'm so glad you said that about the system, right? Because that was always the knock on Brady, that it was in Belichick's system and he just ran it that way and blah, 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 and on and on and on.
Because you see Matt Castle, what Matt Castle did when he went 10-6.
Exactly.
So everybody assumed it was just a system.
Exactly. But what I wanted to say to that in the system is that Arenas is known for saying this, okay? He came out and said it during the playoffs that he lets Brady call the game. Brady got to bring in whoever he wanted to bring in as far as AB was concerned. Gronk was concerned. He said, go out and sign Leonard Fournette. So he brought in all the pieces that he wanted there to mirror the same system he was in for the last 20 years. All right, except that he even had extra weapons on the outside. So, and he's calling the fucking plays. So the dude literally just said, okay, I'm going to put on a different fucking jersey, and I might have a couple of different personnels on the thing. And my sideline, I'm not going to see the greatest coach of all time, but I'm going to come out and show you what I could do. Bullshit. He adapted that system and fucking put it into play in Tampa Bay.
But this is what Joe Judge is trying to do now. This is why he's getting these guys to come in.
Well, I agree.
To keep the same system, to not change every different direction, because that leads to success long time.
Absolutely.
You know? So that's just what it is, man. I like the way he's doing that, because say Daniel Jones becomes that great and he decides to move on to another team, and he knows what's up. I mean, to be your own coach as a quarterback, to call your own plays, to be your own offensive coordinator, that's the goal of a lot of these guys. Even Rodgers, when Rodgers was like spiteful, like he was getting calls from Mike McCarthy. He was just throwing the ball out of bounds if the play broke down real quick, like a real prick. Like, you know what I mean? It's like he knew like he was so much more intelligent and better off calling his own plays. But I mean, that's kind of man,
that's what they like. Not many people talk about it. That's what I said. I was like, yo, listen, like Brady brought the system with him. You know what I mean? Like literally, that's what he did, bro. He just said, all right, this shit worked. I had mad success. And then think about it. He's got like a lot of young guys there, right? You know, like Evans and Godwin. All those guys are young, right? So he's sitting go, look, guys, I got 6 rings. This shit worked the last 20 plus years. Why don't you shut the fuck up and let me do what I got to do, right? And they listened to him and they believed in him, right? I mean, he called out guys when he was saying that, like, they were crying on the field after the Green Bay game. He was like, what are you crying about? We're not done yet, right? Like, look, he's a fucking winner. I'll give him that. Like, no one's going to take that away. He's got that drive that Kobe had, Michael Jordan had. I mean, bro, when he was doing that charity golf event against Peyton Manning's like shooting fucking thing and laughing at him, and he's getting pissed because he knocked the fucking ball in the woods, and that's a fucking golf tournament. He ain't even good at golf, you know what I mean? Right. So, like, I understand the dude's a huge competitor. I'll never take that away from him. But, like, I just hate when it's like, look, man, let's not forget he had a tuck rule invented for him that doesn't even exist in the NFL anymore. His defenses can arguably say won him 3 Super Bowls because he was a great manager in those games. And we could argue that, but at least 2 of them, right? And yeah, listen, he definitely won a couple. Nobody was saying he wasn't going to win. Of course, he's going to win like 3 or 4 years. A fucking good quarterback, a hell of a player and a great competitor. But you know what I mean? Like, it's just, dude, like, you need to stop the greatest of all over every sport and every athlete.
Even when
that fucking Cristiano Ronaldo and Messi are probably better. Like, I mean, come on.
even when he lost against the Eagles, when fucking Big Dick Nick Foles fucking won.
Right.
Like he still threw for over 500 yards. He should have won if he had a defense in that game. He should have won. And Eli Manning should have been the only one that ever beat him in the fucking Super Bowl.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, listen, then you could talk the whole Russell Wilson one, but whatever.
I know that was stupid.
Football changed in like the 80s. They didn't used to have a salary cap, and like the way the free agency works and all that stuff. It was a lot different back then, and they changed all this stuff. That way, it would provide parity to the league, where it would be cyclical. You have teams come up and then fall back down, and come up and fall back down. Then we have always new markets involved, and revenue sharing, all the stuff that goes into what makes the NFL the NFL.
All that bullshit.
They literally designed the game to prevent this from happening, and for the most part, they fucking did. The only exception to the rule is one duo, and now by himself, in Tom Brady and Bill Belichick. They're the only ones to defy the odds over 2 decades. Tom Brady's, I mean, there's 2 decades between. It's insane, man. Listen, Jordan's great, LeBron's great. I don't watch soccer, so Messi and Ronaldo and all those guys, none of their games are set up where it's built for you to fail long term. None of their games are built for that. And Brady's, I mean, you just can't. I used to hate Brady with a blood-boiling passion. I'm a diehard Yankees fan. He's played in New England. That's basically the same fans that root for the New England Patriots, root for the Red Sox, and fuck them all. So I never liked Brady. But you know what, man? This just comes to a point where you say, I'm watching something that, if you had the chance to speak to your great-grandparents about maybe watching Babe Ruth play and whatever, I
Don't
don't
go
know if
there.
they're that old. You know what I mean?
You said you're a Yankee fan. Don't go there.
And all this stuff. Like you're watching absolute Mount Rushmore of American sports. You just got to sit back and just got to say like, tip a cap and. Dude, if the Giants aren't winning, go do it again, bro.
He was down 28. He was down 28-3 against Atlanta in the Super Bowl. My man came back. You know what I mean? That wasn't the defense either. My man came
How wasn't
back.
that the defense? They shut Atlanta down in the second half.
No,
Atlanta couldn't fucking move the ball anymore. They forgot how to throw to Julio.
Well, no,
they already gave up 28 points, Jules.
28.
They spotted 28 points.
My man was getting 2-point conversions after touchdowns. My man came back and won that shit. Like, yo, like just I mean, they were trying to go after him about like a little deflation of a football. I'm like,
Spygate.
Yeah, they suspended him 4 games. He came back. He went 11-1 and won the fucking Super Bowl. Just like fuck you, like to the NFL. I mean, I can't knock the guy. Because listen, if he beat Eli, this conversation would have been totally fucking different. Let me tell you that. I would have been like, yo, fuck this guy. This guy sucks. He's a cheater. Like I hate him, but like I can't.
Yeah, we're in a very unique position as Giants fans that we can talk about Tom Brady.
I can't knock.
Really.
It's funny you say that because I had a lot of guys that were saying that shit too. They're like, "Wait, dude, aren't you a Giants fan?" And like, cause I was like promoting the Brawl down at the AC the whole time too, and I'm like, "You gotta check out my podcast and shit." And they're like, "Bro, what do you care, man? Eli beat him twice. Like, what do you care?" And I'm like, that's a good point. I really don't. He just cost me money. That's all.
Bro, because you're betting against them. Don't bet against them.
and like part of what I said too, like, you brought up the 80s and 90s, how like they had like all these players. Like I felt like Dallas and the 49ers were swapping players throughout the late 80s and early 90s just to fucking build championship teams, right? And like I felt like this Tampa team was that. It was a blowout. It was like such an old school, like kind of Super Bowl feel where it was like lopsided. Like this Tampa team should have been like 14-2 or some stupid shit and came into it like that, and they just weren't because of COVID and no preseason. Who the hell knows? But like it just had like that old school feel to it where it was like when the Super Bowl commercials became popular because the game was so terrible that everybody just watched for the Super Bowl commercials, right? And that's kind of how that shit originated in like the late 80s, early 90s was because of that kind of shit, because there was so many one-sided games except for like, the Bills and the Giants. That was a great one. It was a couple that mixed in, but for the most part. But yeah, man, like, look, that's what it reminded me of. I get it. Like, I'm not trying to take anything away from Brady. Like, he is a Hall of Famer. Fine. You want to put him on a Mount Rushmore without a doubt. I mean, that's not going to get argued. But, like, slow down when you bring up Michael Jordan's name. That's all I'm saying. Because for that much, didn't Derek Jeter have all the intangibles like this too? Wasn't he a fucking winner? Did he go out to compete? Did he go diving into the stands and break his nose and shit like that? Or bust up his eye cheek rather? Like, come on, man. I could put him on that level too,
Derek Jeter was our MVP. I mean, I don't care who we had on that team. Derek Jeter was the glue, man. He was the MVP. My man was the clutchest player, and we should just do a Yankees Brawl podcast right now. Derek Jeter was
we're gonna do that in between, right?
Yo, that dude, like, he banged every hot chick ever, and he still got up and played the next day. You
never saw him in trouble.
Fucking played. Like, yeah, that dude was unfucking believable, man. Like, you can't fucking beat that guy. Anytime my man came up in the playoffs, he was getting a hit with the guy on base. There's no doubt. Other dudes like A-Rod, fuck you, A-Rod. He was striking out. You know what I mean? Come on, man. Like,
listen,
some guys have it, some guys don't.
And we're joking about it as much as we are, but like, even if you look at Eli Manning's postseason shit, and I don't want to keep always putting a feather in Eli's cap and everything else, but he was fucking really good in the playoffs, man. When the game was on the line and this dude had to step up, he fucking stepped up.
Imagine he got there more, Jules. He got there more.
Seriously. I mean, look, if they don't go out and fuck around on that boat, I mean, look, you look at the whole Plaque situation, right? You look at these idiots when they were partying in Miami and then dropping passes against Green Bay, right? Like, those are 2 seasons right there, like maybe he gets back to one of those right there. I don't know, maybe he does get one of those back. And I'm not saying we win, but I definitely think we would have won that year with Plaques, bro. That was.
Dude, we were literally unstoppable. I got up every Sunday like, how many points are we gonna beat this team by? Like that's how I got up every Sunday. Then all of a sudden, fucking Bloomberg was like, "Yo, Plaque shot himself in the club on his calf or whatever." He's like,
"Legal gun,
gonna throw him in jail." I'm like,
you gotta do some jail time, son. Like, what?
Bro, he did so much time too.
He could have
came
back
like 18 months or something like that.
Yeah.
Yo, Plaques could have came back that season and played, in the playoffs and we would have fucking won. He was fine. He was just in prison in an orange jumpsuit. He traded blue for orange. Fucking orange is the new blue or whatever the fuck. Fuck that guy. Fuck Bloomberg, man. Fuck Bloomberg.
Yeah,
I hate
seriously,
that dude.
dude.
We gotta have Bloomberg on this podcast so I could just fucking yell at him for fucking 60 minutes. That asshole. He had to make a fucking statement about him, about gun violence in the city. Are you kidding me? Plaxico, a guy that just brought the gun because he had to go to Ahmad Bradshaw's house in the hood because he wanted to protect himself and his fucking his ride. Are you kidding me? And his chains? He wanted to protect himself. He didn't mean to shoot himself in the club. Idiot was wearing jogging pants, like, and had a
Yeah,
gun.
that was the dumbest shit. It's like, bro, when do you ever wear, like, how do you like go wear jogging pants and like carry a gun on you? Like, that's just not smart.
Right.
Like, what's it gonna hold? Like, you really think like your waistband is that fucking tight where you can tie that shit tight and hold a fucking gun?
But
like,
he forgot.
no.
Jules, he forgot it. He was supposed to leave it in his glove compartment, and he forgot to put it in his glove compartment. He just walked in the club with it. They don't have metal detectors in the club. I didn't have metal detectors. If the metal
that's
detectors
they might be
stop
getting
them-
let in through the back VIP. I get that part, but still, dude. I know.
The part that doesn't make any sense to me is this: you are a multi-millionaire professional athlete, 6'5" wide receiver of the New York Giants. All your boys are with you. Why are they not holding your fucking gun?
Seriously.
Why would you have anything on you? Drugs, too much cash. You don't hold fucking nothing. That way, when shit goes down, your boys take the fucking fall. Because you know what? You're paying for their jewelry and this and that for them. That's what the fuck they're there for. To take the heat for you. Michael Vick's friends should have fucking known that shit too.
When I used to do nightclubs and all these guys would come in and like, celebrities and football players and all this type of shit, I would see some of their security. First of all, those guys didn't even get fucking paid that much. They would get paid maybe $250 a night, like fucking dog shit. And then like, I guess if you got guys that could carry a gun, it was like double. It was like 500 or something like that, where you could like legitimately have armed bodyguards with you. It was so ridiculously cheap. I'm like, bro, you guys are going to pop a bottle of champagne. That was $500. Like you can have an armed guard with you at all times, protecting your ass so you get home for $500, man. Why are you being so cheap? Like it was definitely that kind of shit back then. So I never understood that with them, bro. That always got to me, man. Like I was like, bro, you could hire guys to do this shit, but you can get like a bulletproof car if you're that fucking nervous.
Bro, it's crazy. Like you would think like your own best asset. Your talent. Like you got to stretch that shit out as long as you can. Keep your nose as clean as you humanly can keep it. And that I guess, bro. I guess you kind of get an air of, invincibility. I guess you can say when you get to that level in life that you just don't think anything bad can happen. So you kind of, you're a lot less responsible than you should be. It's easier, easy saying it from the seat sitting down. But I guess, when you've achieved every possible dream you could have in life, then maybe you get a little bit of a God complex, and then shit like that happens.
Invincibility or stupidity. Fucking dumb. I can't believe we're talking about this. I can't believe
I know.
that.
So many years later.
I still can't. I thought it was a bad dream. Like when I woke up and I heard the news, Plaxico shot himself. I'm like, is he dead? And then it's like, oh, it's just like a graze wound in his leg. I'm like, all right, can he play next week? And then I was like, all right, he's gonna play. No big deal. He's gonna play next week. We're fine. And then Bloomberg, this little white asshole, fucking 5'4", fucking walked to the podium. We gotta fucking send him to fucking prison. He didn't shoot anybody, asshole. He didn't fucking shoot anybody. He shot himself.
You know what's funny too? I don't know if you guys saw. Did you guys see the 30 for 30 on Vic?
Yeah, I see it.
Okay. Bro, like if you watch it, they made such a huge deal that this dude got put away for fighting dogs. Like, first of all, I get it. They're both illegal activities, right? Yeah. But here's a guy that just bought a gun for protection and brought it to the club. And like, had he not been wearing sweatpants, probably never drops and shoots himself in the leg. This other dude was letting his friends create a dog fighting league. And I get it. They grew up down there. And that was part of like sort of the culture in a weird way where this was acceptable and cops didn't really get too involved. But they made more of an outcry over that shit than fucking him carrying a fucking gun and the gun going off. Like, I'm like, wait a minute. So innocent animals are fucking dying left and right. They're shooting them in the back and burying them and shit. And this other dude just carries a fucking gun on him, doesn't hurt nobody or anything except himself. And that dude's got to go through the same sentence as fucking Michael Vick did. Oh, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I really feel bad for you, Mike Vick.
Plaxico didn't even shoot a dog. Like, if he shot a dog, then I'm like, all right, send this fucking dude to jail, man. Fuck. Oh my god. Yeah, I mean, breaking news. I got to tell you guys, like, I started a fighting on my own. I started fighting Siamese fighting fish. I'm letting them fight each other, man. Throw me in fucking prison, Blueberg, you piece of shit. I hate that dude.
Bill Belichick probably paid Bloomberg off and said, "Listen, throw this guy in jail because I'm trying to win another couple of rings."
Seriously.
I
He's like, I don't want this team. He's like, for whatever reason, I can't fucking beat Eli Manning. I don't know what's wrong with me.
No way. If you don't throw him in jail, I'm just going to break his leg on the field, one or the other.
A 6'5" fucking wide receiver, man. God, I miss him, man.
Yeah, we love
Yeah.
that. Look,
No, that's what we need, man. That's just where we are in our team's development. We got to get that guy that just makes everything fit together. And we look at the team from a skewed perspective because we lost Saquon Barkley. And I really hope that fans the next 9 months waiting for Giants or 8 months waiting for Giants football, it shouldn't be. There should be just a level of excitement like boiling over every time you think about the team. I can't stress how impactful it's going to be to not only just to have basically forgotten about what Saquon Barkley looks like, to have him come back healthy, plus add that wide receiver one, and another year of development from the other guys. Hopefully, Evan Ingram falls back to the 4th or 5th priority on the offense. There's no pressure, and he can actually catch a fucking ball. And it's just the defense comes back to like. There's so much to be excited about, man. I'm sorry.
Listen, the next couple of weeks, obviously, there's not really anything going on in February, right? But as soon as March comes around, they're going to be doing a lot of these pro days too. So that's when a lot of this, like, who are we going to pick in the draft shit's going to really start fucking popping up again, because they're not going to do a full regular NFL combine. Like, I'm pretty sure that's been 100% ruled out at this point. So what they're going to have to do is like whatever they got from the Senior Bowl and whatever these guys do on the pro days for their schools at their college is what these pros are going to go on. These scouts are going to go on for the draft. So that shit's going to all start back up again. Once that does, we're going to get crazy with it, right? Free agency's a little less than a month away, right? Like a little more than a month away, rather, I should say, by a few days, right? Because it's like officially this Saturday we kind of started. Like
we should talk about it next week. We should talk about it next week on the podcast.
Yeah. We definitely will. Look, and what, Mike, we definitely got some guests scheduled up, like right between now and then too, that we're going to bring on. We're always trying to get some former players to at least give us some shout outs and get on the show. So there's some of that to come as well as the weeks come on and everything else. But, look, man, you're right. It should be exciting. This offseason should be fun. I mean, pay attention to what the Giants are doing. We're going in the right direction. There's a lot of good things that we're doing. I keep saying it, and I'm gonna keep fucking saying it until the 29th of April. I really truly believe that with that 11th pick, I think something's going to fall for us. Like, I don't think we're gonna have to make a reach. I've been looking over mock drafts and playing out different scenarios over and over and over until I'm blue in the face, and I'm listening to other people's podcasts and other things that people are saying. And at the end of the day, it's like, man, I still think that like there's gonna be one of our key needs that'll be absolutely met with that 11th pick, no matter what happens, and like, this is going to be guys that are going to get overlooked. Look, there's some projections where they have 4 quarterbacks going in the first 10 picks. So you got 4 quarterbacks going, 2 wide receivers, a tight end, that's 7 already. And then 2 linemen is 9. We still got corners. We still got edge rushers. We still got an extra wide receiver. I mean, dude, I don't know about you guys, but like, I think sitting at 11, man, we're looking good in this year.
I think that's a perfect fucking tease to next week, Jules, right there.
That's it. You know what I mean? With that said, look, guys, I think we're going to wrap this one up, right? Look, and before we do, I kind of saved this for the end here because, as much as I hate and whatever, and you guys give me all the hard time about this shit, I guess we'll give the Manscaped Player of the Year award to none other than Tom Brady. All right, I will eat the crow and have to say it, but all right, who else but Tom Brady, right? Like, I guess he deserves the Manscaped of the Year, getting his 7th fucking trophy, being talked about as the GOAT of all time of every sport. But for the Manscaped, make sure you get that Lawnmower 3.0. All right, Valentine's Day is upon us, fellas. Make sure you're ready for wherever the night may take you. Our friends at Manscaped, the global leaders in men's below-the-waist grooming, are here to tell you that you need to use the best tools for the job so you can be ready for on that special day, right? With Valentine's Day being on Sunday, all right? So go get the Manscaped. Go get it done. We know Tom Brady Manscapes.
Go.
All right. But look, man, you know you can catch us at Twitter, right? We're at Giants Brawl on Twitter, GiantsBrawl at AOL.com. The Giants Brawl Facebook page is blowing up, man. We post shit there every day. Check it out. Send the likes, man. We always put links to the podcast, whether it be on Spotify or Apple, all that all the time on there. So just click the link, send a like. If you ever want to hit us up directly, you know, you can hit J Depot at the MYG Slap Parade. You get Mike Train at Mike Train MFT, and you can hit myself, Jules, at Jules NYC1. But for now, we're out until next week. We'll talk to you then. Later.